If I told you 5 years ago that Reebok would be the fastest growing clothing brand in 2025, you would probably have laughed in my face. You likely would have pictured your dad's grass-stained lawn mowing shoes, or maybe that one intense CrossFit gym that closed down in your neighborhood strip mall, right? But right now, in 2025, Reebok isn't just surviving, they're absolutely dominating the charts. They have reclaimed their cool, they are actively stealing market share from giants like Nike and Adidas, and they're doing it with a playbook that is radically different from everyone else's in the game. We're really watching one of the greatest brand resurrections in retail history happen in real time. And they went from being an afterthought in a German conglomerate portfolio, Adidas, to a cultural powerhouse under Authentic Brands Group. But the crazy part isn't simply that they came back. The crazy part is exactly how they did it and are doing it. And they didn't just throw billions of dollars at the problem, there's probably a few billions in there, but they fundamentally changed the way that they treat their products, their partners, and their customers. So today we're gonna break down the rise, the fall, and the violent rise again of Reebok. But more importantly, I'm going to show you exactly how you can steal their specific marketing strategies, from their anti-script influencer briefs to their bold new membership model, and actually use them to scale your own clothing brand. Hey, I'm Christian Pignon, one of the co-founders here at Bit Branding. We specialize in helping clothing brands scale online. We've served over 300 clothing brands in the last year alone. Would appreciate it if you'd like, subscribe, so you don't miss any of our content. Okay, so to understand the genius of their 2025 comeback, we have to understand the absolute disaster that preceded it, right? In the 1980s, Reebok was untouchable. They were actually bigger than Nike, and they had the aerobatics craze, they had the pump technology, and they had the sheer audacity to sign Allen Iverson, which gave them street credibility that money usually can't buy. But then they got acquired by Adidas. This is in 2005. And for nearly 2 decades, they suffered from what I like to call the little brother syndrome, right? Adidas didn't want Reebok to compete with them directly, so they forced Reebok into a corner. They stripped away the cool factor and made them strictly a fitness brand. They actually became the official sponsor of CrossFit and UFC. While that was great for a very specific niche, it actually killed their mass appeal. So they stopped being a culture brand and they started being a utility brand, if that makes sense. So you didn't wear Reeboks to the club, you wore them to go sweat, maybe at the Pilates club. And in the fashion industry, becoming purely utilitarian is a death sentence. They even tried to change their logo to a red delta symbol, erasing decades of brand equity associated with their classic vector logo. We probably all know. And fast forward to 2022, Adidas finally sells Reebok to Authentic Brands Group, or ABG, which is what we're gonna call it from now on in this video. Now, ABG is not a traditional shoe company. They are brand managers, and their first move was brilliantly in its simplicity. They just let Reebok be Reebok again. So they stripped away the fitness only mandate and leaned hard into one thing that they had that no one else did, which was heritage. But here's where it gets actionable for you. In 2025, Reebok isn't winning because of nostalgia alone. Like, nostalgia, sure, it grabs attention, but it doesn't actually retain customers. They are winning because they pivoted the entire marketing funnel. The first strategy you need to steal is what I call the anti-script influencer approach. When most clothing brands hire influencers, they send over a very strict brief. They say things like, make sure that you mention the moist wicking fabric at 5 seconds. Make sure they show the logo clearly at 10 seconds. Make sure that you use a specific hashtag, right? All of this just feels forced. It feels like a commercial, and the audience literally can smell that from a mile away. Reebok really flipped this entirely in 2024, 2025 with their Sport is Everything campaign, featuring stars like Angel Reese, Justin Fields. They moved to a hands-off creative model. They realized that in the TikTok and Instagram Reels era, the influencer knows their audience better than the brand director does, and they started sending product with loose, feeling-based directives rather than script-based directives. They asked creators to just show how the product fits into their chaotic lives rather than asking them to sell the features, right? So for your brand, this is a massive game changer, right? Instead of paying a creator to read a script about, I don't know, your new new hoodies fabric blend and how thick it is, right? Just send them the hoodie, tell them to show how they style this on a first date, or show us how they wear this on their most stressful work day, right? When you give creators ownership of the narrative, the content usually performs better because it's native to the platform, it's native to their audience. The algorithm rewards authenticity, not this overall polished thing. So now towards the end of this video, I'm gonna give you just a few things to change on your website so you can actually potentially steal some of these things and apply them to your store. So just bear with me as I go through these strategies, and then we'll go and jump right into Shopify. The second strategy is where they made their biggest pivot, and it's a lesson in modernizing loyalty. So for many years, Reebok actually relied on a program called Reebok Unlocked, and it's just a standard gamified system where you earn points for writing reviews or maybe doing workouts, and it was cute, but maybe a little bit complicated. In 2025, because they got acquired, they actually killed Unlocked and replaced it with something far more powerful. It's called the Authentic Membership. And obviously, Authentic coming from their now brand sort of owner, right? The Authentic brand group. And this is a radical shift, right? From the gamification aspect of loyalty and points and all that stuff to more of like privilege, right? Instead of making you jump through hoops to earn a $5 coupon, they created a centralized membership ecosystem. So by joining the Authentic Membership, which actually works across all of ABG brands, we're talking about Forever 21, Billabong, and Reebok, customers get instant tangible value. You get 10% off, you get free shipping, and often for a small subscription fee or just a very simple sign up. Now, why does this work better than points? And that's because points can be confusing versus privilege is addictive, right? Reebok realized that today's customers, they don't want to track points and expiration days and all that kind of stuff. They want the Amazon Prime treatment, right? They want to know that because they are a member, they never have to pay for shipping. And by linking Reebok to a wider ecosystem of brands, they're actually increasing the stickiness of the customer. You aren't just a Reebok shopper, you now are an authentic member. And I want you to pause for a second and think about your own loyalty setup. You may not even have a loyalty setup or something that, again, you've been thinking about but can't necessarily pull the trigger on it. But are you making your customers do the math just to get a reward? I want you to drop a comment below and let me know how you are doing loyalty. Are you doing points, or are you wanting or hinting that you want to do this membership? If you are, let me know, because I'll have a video for you on the way. Now, the third piece of Reebok's puzzle is their niche down to scale up strategy. In 2025, they launched the Engine A. This is their first performance basketball shoe in years. But they didn't just try to launch sports shoes generally. They actually picked specific battles. They went hard into basketball, yes, but they also went aggressively into pickleball, for example. And you might laugh, right? Pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports in America. And by creating specialized product lines for these specific communities, they created riches in the niches. So they didn't try to be everything to everyone immediately. They actually built deep credibility in one specific subculture and let that halo effect spread to their lifestyle gear. And for your brand, this is a critical lesson, right? If you are trying to sell clothing for everyone, you're really selling to no one. You need to find your basketball. Maybe your t-shirt brand is specifically for vintage car enthusiasts, right? Maybe your activewear is specifically for postpartum moms. Win that niche completely, dominate the conversation there, and then you expand. And this is such a hard lesson to apply, because even for ourselves, like, we went through marketing to everyone, and then through the years we have niche down. And I wish we would have done it the complete opposite, where we started as a very specific niche and then we would have expanded from there. Now, Reebok proved that you don't need to be the biggest to be the most relevant. You just need to be the most relevant to the people who are currently paying attention. Finally, we really have to talk about the distribution model, because this is the backbone of their profitability, right? When ABG took over, they shifted Reebok to a licensing model. So this means that they partner with experts in different regions to handle the heavy lifting of logistics, retail, and all that stuff. So in North Korea, for example, they partner with LF Corp. In the US, they lean heavily on partners like JD Sports to get product on shelves. Now you might be thinking, Christian, I'm not big enough to license my brand. And you're right, but you can steal the principle of this, right? It's about leverage. Reebok realized that they aren't a logistics company. They are a brand company. And they let other people handle the boxes so that they could focus on the heat. No, for you, this might mean using a 3PL provider sooner than you think. So you actually stop packing boxes at midnight, or it might mean partnering with a local boutique to carry your goods on consignment so you get physical retail presence without actually paying for rent. Stop trying to do everything yourself. The brands that scale the fastest in 2025 are the ones that focus on marketing and product and outsource the rest. Hey, if you're liking what you're listening, I just want to say that if you are a clothing brand owner and you want to jump into the specifics of your brand and how to grow it profitably online, you can schedule a free 45-minute strategy session with us. There are limited spots. You can go find a time right now. There's a link in the description. So Reebok coming back wasn't an accident. It was calculated decisions to return to their roots while modernizing their tactics for a digital first world. They stopped apologizing for who they were. They stopped trying to be better than Nike and started being the best Reebok. So how do we take these high level strategies and put them into your website? I don't want you to just, this video to just be theory and strategies. So I want to give you just 3 specific actionable changes that you can make on your Shopify store this week to mirror some of Reebok's strategies. So first, I want you to create a either shop by the vibe or shop by activity navigation menu. So Reebok don't just sell shoes, they sell basketball and soccer and golf, right? On your site, stop just listing t-shirts and pants. Create collections based on the end use of the product. So if you sell streetwear, have a date night collection or a Sunday lounge collection. Guide the customers to the lifestyle they want to live, not just the fabric or the style of pants that they want to wear. This actually increases your conversion rate because it reduces the mental load on the customer. They don't have to imagine where to wear it. You're literally just telling them right there and then. There's actually a brand new thing which is amazing because we didn't have this in the past and now it's just really good. But when it comes to the navigation, you have to go here to content and then you go to menus, and now we actually have the option to take an existing menu, say like main menu over here, and maybe this is what we have currently live on our store and we don't want to mess with it just yet, but we want the structure, right, so that we can create something better. Now we have this little duplicate button up here, which is amazing. So you can click duplicate. Let's just say main menu number 2. You can click duplicate and it will create it for you just like that. It will keep the current links and everything that we have in here. But right within here, right within this menu, maybe we can even do it right under this shop. We can do, shop by activity and then put in there the actual link. And then for these activities, we can have basketball. See, we have to create these collections ahead of time, but I'm just putting these links in here. And something else with all these menus is that you can grab them and do an indent. And that means that now basketball is inside of shop by activity. So now shop by activity will show up as a drop down menu here on your navigation. You can actually do this up to 3 times. And something that I would implore you to check is if your theme offers a mega menu option. Because if it does offer a mega menu options, then you can do things like this, where you can highlight images within here. You can have multiple lists based on these big drop downs. So a mega menu is just something that when you hover over a navigation item, it kind of goes left and right, it covers the entire screen, and it gives the customer just an easier way to kind of navigate through your store. So highly suggest. It really truly just depends on your store, but I would say majority of them offer some kind of mega menu. It may not have the images, for example, but it will still give you the option to do the big menu that has all of these things. Second, implement a shoppable user-generated content feed on your homepage. Remember that anti-script strategy, right? People trust people. You can use an app like Yotpo, Kendo, Judge Me, or a specialized UGC tool to pull in Instagram photos of real customers wearing your gear and make these photos clickable. When a visitor sees a regular person, not just a model, right, looking fresh in your hoodie, conversions typically go up. It proves that the cool factor is real, right? You want to definitely place a section right above the footer, but below your best sellers. Now, if you were watching last week's video, we talked a little bit about Judge Me. Judge Me does give you the option to do one of their widgets, which is the videos carousel. So if you have some videos on your reviews, you can actually very easily showcase real customers UGC style options in here with that videos carousel option. This other videos or reviews carousel, you can also customize this to also just show images. So if you see here under theme, okay, so yeah, we would need the Judge Me Awesome plan, but let me see, actually compact with pictures. So again, maybe a little bit different, right, than just a strict UGC section, but this can actually showcase some of the images along with, you know, the actual review. But I would do, yeah, one of these, maybe compact with pictures to actually show the picture a little bit bigger in here. And I talk about this a lot too, where maybe you don't need Judge Me. Maybe you have images that maybe some customers have maybe tagged you on social media. You don't want to necessarily pay for an app. You can go to your store right now and you can find a section. A lot of times, I know with the Dawn theme, for example, it's just like the multi-column section, and just build that into a gallery, a UGC gallery. So I would say definitely look into your sections or your built-in sections for your theme, because you may have something already that is, for example, this one has a gallery. Here we go. So this gallery just looks like very much like an Instagram type feed, and then we'll essentially just uploading, you know, manual images into here. But this gives you the option, right, to do this without any apps technically. So if you already have the images, maybe you have some of the videos, try looking at your theme sections and see what's available, because you may have something. Lastly, number 3 is to replace your complex point system with a very simple membership only sort of privilege tier system. You want to take a page from the authentic membership playbook. You want to take a page from the Amazon Prime playbook, right? Instead of offering 100 points for signing up, just offer instant free shipping for members. You can set this up easily in Shopify by tagging customers who sign up with your email list with a VIP tag, or using an app. So for example, I just very quickly was looking for something, and Simply Memberships and Loyalty gives you the option to do something like this, right? Where you're not necessarily just doing points, although they do give you the option to do points, but you can very easily just set up a sort of membership loyalty with this app right here. So stop making them do the math, just give them instant status. The perceived value of free shipping forever is wildly higher than 100 points, and it will drastically increase your email sign up rate. The market in 2025 and 2026 is going to reward boldness, and it rewards brands that build ecosystems, not just customer lists. So take a page out of Reebok's playbook, loosen up the reins on your creative, simplify your loyalty into clear privileges, and find your niche to dominate. I want to help you implement these changes. Now, if you enjoyed this breakdown, I have other videos of deep dives and other breakdowns that I've done on some other brands. So if you're interested in that, go check them out here next.